Chris.
Ed.
I just came by. Just wanted to get a quick chat with Tayshia if she's around.
This is my room.
Chris Harrison is moving to Texas, and it has fans wondering if that means he's leaving The Bachelor. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We have to get to the bottom of this Chris Harrison news, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future updates. As always, I'm your host, Gabby Gonza, and I'm joined by the awesome Avery Grooms today. Hi, Avery.
Hey, Gabby.
So it's safe to say the Bachelor franchise would not be the same without its iconic host, Chris Harrison. But it just came out that Chris is building a new house in Austin, Texas, and red flags are starting to go up everywhere about if this means he will no longer be hosting the show after nearly 20 years. So, Avery, I want to know your thoughts. Here's a fun fact for you. Chris is actually originally from Dallas, Texas. So, are we surprised by this move, or do you think it makes sense for him?
Well, I know he's relocating partially because of a partnership deal he got. And I get it. Like, he's been in California for quite some time. Texas was originally home for him. But in my mind, I don't think he would do this move if commuting to do the show was not an option. Just because I know how much the show means to him, and knowing how much the show, or knowing how much the Bachelor Nation loves him as a host, I feel like he just wouldn't do that.
Exactly. That's a good point. He probably has other work things going on, where Texas, it would just be, good for him to have a home there as well. I think his son, that's where he goes to college. So it just makes sense for him to have another house there. I personally think it's maybe another house that he's building. I'm sure he'll still have his California home, or, different things like that. I'm sure it's not a permanent move, but fans are certainly worried. As we know, Chris was unable to host just a couple episodes of Tayshia's Bachelorette season due to COVID protocols and having to drop off his son at college during the filming of the show. And the show was really transparent about that. They said, we're going to be without Chris for a few days, but we have an alternate option. Former Bachelorette Jojo then took his place for those episodes when he was out. So we did get a little bit of a taste of the show without Chris, although it wasn't too much time. It was just a few moments of a couple episodes that we didn't have him. But, this is a sneak peek at what it would be like if Chris, maybe did step away from hosting The Bachelor. So would this be a devastating loss, or would Jojo or someone similar stepping in not be so bad? What do you think?
I think it would be pretty devastating. I mean, he's not only a fantastic host, but he's basically the face of Bachelor Nation. He's pretty much the backbone of the whole entire franchise. And he's been doing this for 20 years, and the show's just so classic. I feel like not having him as a host would totally just change the entire tone of the show. And I just know Bachelor Nation isn't a huge fan of change, especially if it's taking Chris Harrison out of the equation. So I feel like it would not be the best change.
Exactly. I think it's a little bit of a softer blow because we saw a few episodes without him and people seem to love Jojo. I think she has a great personality and is just overall so warm and very host-like. But at the same time, it's like, okay, even when she was the host, it was like, when is Chris coming back? I think people started to miss him. So I think fans are certainly going to be missing him no matter what. Fans on Twitter especially absolutely thought this was the end of the world when this news is coming out. And it makes sense after 25 Bachelor seasons, 16 Bachelorette seasons, plus all of the spinoffs. They just cannot picture the show with any other host. So let's take a look at what some people said on Twitter about it. Chicks in the Office, who often covers Bachelor news, tweeted a GIF that said, "No, that's not true. That's impossible." A fan, Natalia, tweeted, "Okay, welcome to Texas, but Bachelor isn't Bachelor without Chris Harrison. America will not be okay." Brett Vergara, who often live tweets the show, said, "If 2020 is trying to strike one final blow, I swear, but also Tayshia or Rachel for new hosts to make it happen." Digging even deeper, the Bachelor Nation Twitter account also randomly posted a JoJo appreciation tweet yesterday as well. So maybe that's a clue that they're saying, just throwing her name and face out there again. Like, maybe she'll be the one that people choose to take over Chris. It seemed like maybe it was just a coincidence that all happened on the same day, but maybe not. We're going to have to keep watching for that. But Avery, I want to know what you think. Are people overreacting, or is it just a funny sentiment to think that the world will not go on without Chris Harrison as the Bachelor host?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm overreacting because I had the same reaction, but this is huge for the show if that was to happen. Just because, like I said, it's hard to envision the show without him, just because he's been there for so long and he adds so much to it. You know, the contestants are in their 20s and 30s, and Chris Harrison's obviously older, and there's older viewers, and he brings in that like life experience and that wisdom that younger contestants don't have. But it's just a classic. We can't do the show without him. Absolutely not.
We certainly can't. And this reminds me of the Dancing with the Stars issues and sort of fiasco we had with the host change up this season. It was an absolute disaster as fans ended up hating Tyra Banks, replacing longtime hosts Tom and Aaron. So every week it seemed like people were hating on Tyra and missing the old hosts. So of course we don't want that to happen in our Bachelor franchise. So just looking at this, of course, there's nothing out yet about Chris not being host. We're just speculating, and hopefully that's not the case. But if this were to happen, do you think this would be a repeat of Dancing with the Stars where people are just totally turned off to the show, not interested in watching anymore if Chris is not there?
I definitely think so. Just because, like I said, you hear the name Chris Harrison and you automatically think The Bachelor. He's been doing this for going on, I think, 20 years now. Not only The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, but Bachelor in Paradise. Even when they tried to do the spinoff, The Bachelor Pad, he was hosting that. So anything with Bachelor Nation, it has Chris Harrison attached to it. I just don't see that being anyone else. I feel like they could get the best host in the world and it still wouldn't do it justice, just because we're so used to Chris. And I think change is good, but not necessarily in this case.
Not in this case. That's funny. Well, I mean, I think people are so surprised about how well this show has done for this many years. You know, like at some point, Chris is going to have to retire. And if the show is still getting great ratings, like they're going to have to move on with a different host. Like it might eventually happen down the road. Maybe not at this moment necessarily because of his move to Texas specifically. But I feel like one day, like they're going to have to move on. He's going to just be like, I've had a great time with this show, but it's time for me to move on. So I see that in the near future. And, you know, maybe if he wants to slowly progress and do that and maybe like start a co-hosting thing where he does the Bachelor seasons and then maybe Jojo does the Bachelorette seasons, and then it's more of like a slow progression, that could be a possibility. You know, what do you think about if Chris were to slowly move out of the role and just eventually not host as often? Do you think that would like make fans a little bit more comfortable with him leaving, or would they still be upset?
I think so, because like you said, he obviously will have to go at some point. And I was thinking of other potential hosts, and Lauren Zima came to mind, who's also his girlfriend. She's super familiar with the show. She obviously does the Bachelor live updates, and she also does numerous interviews with all the contestants. So I think she's really familiar with the show and asks all the right questions. And someone else who asks all the right questions is also Rachel Lindsay. She's an excellent podcast host and is obviously very familiar with the show because she's been on it. And I think that's good to have someone who contestants can relate to. So if he was going to slowly back away from the show, maybe one of them could be a potential co-host, but I hope he's here for a little or a lot while longer.
Me too. That's a good point with Lauren. I think it's so funny that she's like Entertainment Tonight's main Bachelor host and like reporter, and then she's dating Chris. Seems like a bit of a conflict of interest, like personally. But they're super cute. And I think it mentioned that Chris was moving to Texas, but also, like you said, since he's dating Lauren Zima, she works at Entertainment Tonight. So if she's going to be spending any time with him in Texas, like she's obviously tied to their LA office. So then, you know, there's another reason why he would be back in LA. So it's all adding up to make sense that, you know, Chris isn't leaving us just yet, but maybe one day down the line. All right, you guys, that's all we have for you in this Chris Harrison update. But of course, we want to know your thoughts. So let us know in the comments, would you still watch The Bachelor shows if Chris was not the host? And what do you think about all these rumors of him not being the host just because he's moving? Let us know. And before you go, make sure you subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. I'm your host, Gabby Gonta, and I was joined by Avery today. You can follow us on socials on our handles on the screen right now. Come say hi. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.